For hundreds of years, lighthouses have been used to keep ships and the people on board safe from getting too close to dangerous areas. As you will soon find out in these cases, the real danger was the lighthouses themselves. We traveled to the most haunted lighthouses I could find, and with numerous ghost sightings at these locations. The horrible things that have happened there may explain these notoriously haunted places. In 1808, on the Great Lakes coast of the Toronto Islands, the Gibraltar Lighthouse was constructed and eventually lit a year later. Aside from its typical historical value, the Gibraltar Lighthouse has a dark past to accompany it. According to local lore, the lighthouse's first keeper had his life taken in his keeper's cottage. Apparently, his spirit has haunted the grounds ever since. John Paul Rattle Mueller, the first keeper of the lighthouse, crafted his own bootlegged beer according to the legend. One night, a drunken group of men trespassed towards the cottage in search of the beer. Of course, once they approached Rattle Mueller's home, a dispute broke out. The legend claims that in a shoddy attempt to cover their crime, the drunken men chopped Rattle Mueller into pieces and scattered him along the grounds. A jawbone and various other small bone fragments were found in the garden near the cottage, though it was impossible at the time to confirm the DNA of the bones. Locals obviously assumed they belonged to Rattle Mueller, who had been missing for several weeks at the time of this discovery. For decades, the mystery of Rattle Mueller's passing was drawn out, with many investigators simply stating, "Your guess is as good as mine." Though some aspects of his passing were later confirmed, such as the story of the drunken dispute and the aggressive nature of the time, many other points were either never confirmed or entirely debunked. Rattle Mueller's body was never actually hacked and hidden. Instead, he was buried in a local graveyard without the public being made aware. Due to the popularity behind the passing, both professionals and tourists that visit the location claim that it is haunted by Rattle Mueller's spirit. Who tampers with the lighthouse flag, calls out to tourists, can be seen in the rocky areas near the shore, and moves equipment when repair teams are on site. Entering the lighthouse, I already had an eerie feeling. The cold winter weather didn't make me feel any more welcomed in the surrounding area either. Even hundreds of years later, barely anyone lives near this lighthouse, making it the perfect grounds for a roaming spirit. The friendly locals were not short on their own personal paranormal stories either. The stairs leading up to the very top were small and cramped. I could imagine a lonely man climbing those stairs every day, knowing that if he missed a single step and fell, no one would find him for a very long time. As the massive city of Toronto is in sight from the top of the lighthouse, This small island nearby stays mostly dormant in development, and it appears the ghost of Rattle Mueller isn't going away anytime soon. Now, it was time to visit the next haunted lighthouse. Peggys Cove is an infamous lighthouse in Nova Scotia with an intriguing, mysterious past. The lighthouse was constructed in 1868 and first lit 47 years later in 1915. The lore that follows this lighthouse is quite vague but effectively unsettling. A young mother named Peggy lost her children in a shipwreck. Suffering from the loss, she began to walk the shore near the lighthouse every night and call out for the spirits of her children, or simply sob while kneeling beside the water. One night, Peggy's husband decided to join her and attempt to make her feel better. He danced along the rocky shore for Peggy in a silly display of comfort. Unfortunately, her husband slipped on the wet rocks, injured his skull, and passed away. Peggy continued her nightly walks after the passing of her husband, in a worse state than ever. Eventually, she took her own life by jumping to the rough waters below. Visitors to the Peggys Cove Lighthouse say that a woman can be heard singing, sobbing, and calling for her family in the evening hours or at night. In addition, some visitors that stay near the coast claim to see her white ghostly figure walk along the coastline. The winds were so powerful around this lighthouse that it made being outside next to impossible. I could see multiple warning signs about not getting too close to the rocky edge, and locals had told me the same thing. Tourists in the past have made that mistake.
We went out and got a guy that was swept off the rocks.
That was 2014. These pictures were taken Sunday, and they've since gone viral.
And have fallen into the rocky waters below.
Oh my God!
Once in those waters, there is no chance of survival. This makes the story of Peggy's husband 100% believable in my opinion. I contacted the Coast Guard about getting access inside the lighthouse, and I explained that I wanted to tell the story of Peggy. Immediately, it seemed like the man was trying to get me off of the phone as quickly as he could. Days later, I received a voicemail at around 5 AM from the same man, saying I was denied access due to safety concerns. I found this strange because other media outlets were given access, and I could find their videos here on YouTube. Is there something they're trying to hide inside this lighthouse? After I told them I was looking into its history, I guess we'll never know. Finally, I want to talk about a lighthouse that we didn't get a chance to personally visit, but is the home of an infamous ghost photo on the internet. The St. Augustine Lighthouse was first lit around 1737, but was demolished, and the lighthouse you see here was built in 1824. The most infamous ghosts at this lighthouse are two sisters, named Eliza, age 13, and Mary, age 15, whose father was renovating the lighthouse in 1837. It was during this year that the two girls climbed in a cart used for transporting building materials secured via a rope. The rope snapped, and it sent the girls towards the rocky waters. Both girls sadly passed away. Tourists can hear girls' laughter coming from the tower at night, and Mary has been spotted wearing the same clothes she was wearing when she fell into the rocky waters below that fateful day. In this infamous ghost photo, a woman can be seen sitting on the edge of the lighthouse. Do you think it's Eliza or Mary? The photographer said the lighthouse was completely empty when it was taken.